And is that the Caroline you know? Is she sensitive and fragile?
The Caroline I know right now is out campaigning for Obama, and she's a member of his vice presidential vetting committee, the only one who has survived.
Yeah.
And
what did you think of that? What did you think of, given modern politics, what did you think of what happened to Jim Johnson?
I didn't see any justification for it whatsoever.
But
But that's Washington.
That's Washington, and now it's just Caroline. Do you think she could do it by herself? Vet the vice president?
She's a very savvy young lady. I was frankly surprised that she took as much interest in Obama in particular and politics in general this year as she did, but she has clearly enjoyed it and thrived on it.
Well, looking at her gene pool, do you feel that perhaps she could be about to step into a political role for herself?
I don't think so. She has some wonderful children, and she devotes herself to them.
They're growing up.
And she also has been a successful writer. She's had several books.
You can always write. I mean, could you see her?
Easy for you to say.
Well, well, actually, easy for you to say too. Could you see her as a political candidate, though? Could you see her running for office?
No.
Because you don't see it in her temperament, or you don't think she's capable?
She's capable of anything she wants to do, but I think she has more important priorities.
Where do you see the Kennedy legacy residing then in the younger generation? Where do you see, if not her, who?
Well, let's first of all see what happens to Senator Ted. I've seen him come back at least twice. I was by his bedside when he had an airplane crash in Massachusetts.
Yes.
Broke his back. I was by his bedside when he had a terrible automobile accident in Massachusetts. He came back from both of those, and I'm hoping and praying he'll come back from his present illness.
Have you talked to him since his brain surgery?
No, I wrote him a note, but I did not want to intrude into that.
Have you heard from the family?
No, I don't expect to. It's a very family matter, and let's wait and see what happens.
There's talk that the Democratic Convention in some part will be about Teddy, and there's a hope that he might be able to speak.
I hope so.
Would you be writing the speech for him?
No, I don't write speeches anymore
I know
for other
you don't,
people.
But if he asked
except
you,
for myself, and I can't read those.
But you've written speeches for Teddy in the past.
I'm not sure I have.
Well, you wrote. Okay, it wasn't a speech, but you wrote his address on Chappaquiddick. You helped him write it.
That's true.
So so it's not like the relationship isn't there of you helping him craft words that he would speak.
Well, Ted and I have a very good relationship. I met him just about 55 years ago.
He was the little squirt practically.
Well, he was
the youngest brother.
He wasn't little. He was playing football for Harvard.
But let's put it another way then. What if you were writing or advising on the speech for him to give at the Democratic Convention, what would you think the theme should be? From Teddy Kennedy, potentially a last speech that he might be giving to the
nation. I think that's very delicate advice that should be delivered confidentially, and I don't think this is the time and place.
I will respect that. So then, you have, on the other hand, written what you think should be the Democratic nominee's speech for the convention. You have proposed a speech, haven't you?
I have, because...
that's not confidential.
No, of course not. The Washington Monthly, a year ago, asked me to draft first they wanted me to do the inaugural, and that was a little too far off, and I said, so we compromised that I would draft the speech that would, for me, be ideal if the Democratic nominee, whoever it was, at that time, it was very unclear. In fact, at that time, I had not selected a favorite candidate because I knew most of the contenders. So I did draft for the Washington Monthly, and I'm glad to hear you publicize it, because I don't know how many people outside of Washington
well, it's fascinating, and when I read it, I wondered how would you recraft it for Obama? Would you change anything now that you know who the nominee
I'm sure he
will
would
be?
change a few items or a few controversial items in there, and clearly he has to make his own decisions about what he's going to say in that particular speech at that particular time.
When you heard the news about Teddy, what were the emotions and the memories that went through you?
I had just seen Teddy about a week earlier in New York, where he had a meeting. I hope I'm not disclosing secrets here that he is preparing to announce, or his staff are preparing to announce later, but Teddy wants to help create a center for the study of the United States Senate. And I was attending a meeting on that project, and I took that opportunity to present him with a copy of my book inscribed to him. And several days later, just before he received the news that sent him to the hospital, I received a letter from him thanking me for the book and the inscription, and ironically expressing an optimistic note about the election this fall being sufficiently pro-democratic. And it's a little self-serving here, but the phrase he used was, so that he said to me, so that your ideals can finally be implemented.
But this project will still happen.
I hope so.
Studying the Senate.
And named for him.
You say...
But as I say, I don't give up on him. I think he may be contributing to this country for many years to come.
You think of him as so quintessentially a man of the Senate, don't you?
Very much so.
You said that you could imagine him dying there.
Simply because that has been his choice.
His happiest place.
He could have taken his ease on the beach. He has the money. He already has the fame and all of that. But instead, he has chosen, since 1962, to serve in the United States Senate, to work long hours, to take a certain amount of abuse, to forego the luxuries and perquisites that come with private life, and I think he will as long as he lives.
Do you see Jack in him at all?
Of course, he's got Jack's smile and sense of humor and his eloquence. In many ways, he is more at ease in the Senate itself than either Jack or Bobby. And Teddy is a good senator. He knows how to make agreements with the people on the other side of the aisle, and he knows how to take a certain number of slings and arrows, and he's a natural, and I think he goes down in history when he leaves as one of the great senators in history.
Do you see the president in Caroline?
I see his face in Caroline all the time. She's very thoughtful. She's a little bit shy. People don't realize that JFK was a little bit shy, particularly when he started out.
The one that, you know, is as horrible and as unbelievable as the death of JFK was, I still think for a lot of people the death of John Jr. is as hard or harder to take. Was it that way for you?
Well, I can't say it was harder. JFK had been my life for 11 years.
But you must have seen the father and the son.
John Jr., I mean, the terrible tragedy of his death is that so much was cut off so soon. I also felt that way about Jack's death because he was still in the full bloom of his abilities and ambitions and hopes, what he wanted to accomplish for this country and world as president. And there it was suddenly gone, and that affected my own future.